then take a look at the ancient Greeks.
The ancient Greeks? Songs, TV. There are even TV shows where people decide on who they're gonna marry. Wait a second. What are they doing now? This I have to see.
Samuel, come back.
I can't. You know I can't. I could, but I can't. So I won't. Or I would if I could, but I can't.
Oh, Samuel.
What is
you know
this?
as well as I do that no matter what, you can't leave.
I must.
You can't.
I will.
I'll die.
I know.
I think I'm gonna be sick.
Hey, you're the one that brought up the subject of romance anyway.
Yeah, because everyone's gone crazy over it. I mean, in the past, it was less complicated. They didn't have time for all of this.
I don't know, Shakira. It might have been different, but less complicated?
Jen's right. If you go through romance in the past, you come up against all sorts of weird stuff, like duels to the death, bizarre tribal customs, savage business deals.
That was romance?
That was romance. Would you like to do a comparison?
Absolutely. Why don't we start with flowers? These days, people always send flowers when they want to get all gooey with someone. Usually they send some really ugly card, like this as well. You're telling me that people had time for this stuff in the old days? That say, ancient Vikings went in for flowers and cards?
Viking romance, to figure out what that might have looked like, let's be back 1,000 years.
Okay, our first romance experiment. Now, Vikings were into raiding, pillaging, and conquering their neighbors. Tough guys, right?
Tough guy!
So what would have happened if you'd given this tough guy a Valentine, telling him how much you loved him?
Dear Thor, I like you. You good Viking. You my love.
That's right. Mr. Tough Guy from Norseland ran like Mr. Scaredy Pants from Chickenville. See, words of love were like evil spells, and lots of cultures feared love.
But at least they didn't go gaga over it. You gotta give them that.
Well, if you want people that didn't dwell on it at all, then take a look at the ancient Greeks.
The ancient Greeks?
Sure, you probably studied them in school. They were one of the first great classical civilizations. You can see just how advanced they were from the clothes they wore, their philosophy, architecture, theater. Totally enlightened, right?
And when it came to marriage, they were all business.
What do you mean by all business?
All business.
It was marriage as romantic as a corporate takeover.
Damocles, this is my final offer for the hand of your daughter in marriage.
This offer isn't worth the scroll it's written on. 5 acres of dry land. I can't plant my olive trees on that.
Well, how about this beautiful sundial?
Show me the olives, Damocles. Show me the olives.
Olives, I don't have, but I do have my very best lamb and an acre of grazing ground.
Done. You can now marry my daughter.
Believe it or not, this is how courtship worked. Not only in ancient Greece, but in much of the world. In fact, for centuries now, there was and still is something called a dowry, which is literally an amount of money given to the groom from the bride's side of the family. And some dowries were huge.
So, as a girl, depending on how much money your parents had, you could either end up living like this, with a guy like this, or living like this, with a guy like this.
Precious, you wouldn't mind clearing the scraps now, would you?
No problem, honey. Dessert?
All right, so he's got bad table manners. Check out the house. And the horses. Oh, and the money. All right. Woo!
It's not very romantic, is it?
It sure isn't, but it is complicated. So far from what we've seen,